Hey everyone, RogueGold here, welcome back to The Division 2, and today we need to talk about the lore. This new season that kicked off at the beginning of the month has delivered us into somewhat uncharted territory, because on the one hand, the main storyline and seasonal story has given us near zero indication on where things are headed or what the main plot really is for this current chapter, and that's not quite normal. But on the other hand, this update has also delivered what I think is one of the most compelling new mysteries and plot hooks that we've seen in quite some time, and that is coming from the first classified assignment of the year, of which we know there are more on the way that will continue this. So it's a very interesting dichotomy, and I want to just kind of discuss and dissect all of it a little bit. In case it wasn't clear, there will be spoilers to follow in this video for the first few weeks of Rise Up here, as well as the new Library of Congress Retrieval classified assignment. So let's get right to it. If you enjoyed this one, you want to see more on the Division 2 story or anything else going on with the game, then be sure to subscribe. A big shout out and thank you to our channel members as always. I appreciate your support and dedication more than I can say. Thank you. But without further ado, let's get to it. Alright, let's begin on the season side of things, because honestly, once this was pointed out to me, it became quite apparent and odd. So this started back when I was streaming on the season launch day, I believe it was. Somebody in chat asked, so what is the narrative setup for this season, right? What's the story? And I read that and was like, well, it's the Black Tusk, you know? And that's when I realized that I had no idea what the story actually was here. So that made me go back and investigate. I figured surely I'm just forgetting something here. Not really. The season's trailer, which usually sets up things to a degree, entirely focuses on the new gameplay additions, while just featuring various action shots of us fighting the Black Tusk. And that trend continued, whether it was in the dev diary, the dev streams that we've had, they really only highlight the fact that yes, we are fighting the Black Tusk. Even the big patch note article for the season, which almost always has a story pitch at the top, simply says, Black Tusk aren't holding back this time, they're moving fast, launching operations across the city in response to Division activity. Agents are left dealing with the fallout, putting out fires wherever they can, and facing some of their most dangerous units yet. And so honestly, to me, that just sounded like an in-lore way to describe Black Tusk retaliations. And yeah, even when you visit the Manhunt screen in-game, it simply says Black Tusk as the target. And so look, I'm sure that this is building to something. We're still getting a climax mission at the end of the season that will have a plot line to some degree. What I think is clear from all of this though is that this is undoubtedly one of the most ambiguous season storylines we've ever headed into. You know, compared to the last few updates, the Pact was very clearly about the factions trying to put aside their differences, come together and unite against us. Whereas Mutiny was about the True Sons rebellion that was brewing. Nothing crazy, but at least it gave us a general sense of what was happening, why it was happening, and we're not really getting that this season. For better or worse, I think this is just kind of a continuation of the trend that we've seen from the team in recent times, that being a deprioritization of the lore. In my view, it's really been happening ever since the reveal happened that Keener was alive, right? That was one of the last times when it felt like the narrative was truly pushing forward. And to be clear, that's not to say that decision was not controversial, but it was still a progression of events nonetheless. But since then, we locked Keener up in the basement, and he is still there, silently. Kelso had to go to who knows where. More recently, it seemed like we were finally picking things back up with Barden reawakening, and I'm sure they'll get back to that at some point, but currently, he has been MIA ever since the ending of Year 7 Season 2, and even beyond just the actual storyline itself, there has been a pullback in terms of narrative features in the game. We don't get any kind of introductory cutscene upon logging into a new season anymore. The briefing and debriefing scout lines have not been present or used in quite some time. They've removed the dates and timeline from the Legacy Manhunt menu, making it harder to follow along with the exact chronology of things. As I said, it very much just seems like the story is no longer at the forefront of their priorities, which is fine. I mean, I'm sure there will be many that are bummed out by that, but we've also had times before where they did prioritize story and other aspects of the game slip behind. So I'll be interested to see where this current seasonal story goes. Right now there's not much direction or indication there, even in the first few scout comms that we've collected. But that all does not mean that this update has brought with it no new lore altogether. On the one hand, defeating the new BTSU Team 9 within Retaliation awards you with a new comm each time, with 5 in total, detailing the background of the program and its members, which I found found to be interesting enough, but the real narrative hook so far, for me, has been the new classified assignment. So let's discuss that next. Alright, so we did a guide on this mission when the season released, in that I intentionally left out any lore spoilers or discussions as I wanted to dive a bit deeper on it, so I'm excited to finally get to do that now. The surface level story of the mission is mostly inconsequential. It deals with the True Sons trying to tamper with or destroy the Library of Congress. But the whole reason we go here in the first place is that Agent Monica Shapira was headed in to try and back up the library's database in case the physical copies got destroyed. She notes, though, that she feels like someone is following her, and that thread gets picked up again at the very end of the mission. Before we take a look at the echo that is available at the mission's end, let's first listen to the final comm that you collect.
Extremis malice, extrema remedia. Extreme remedies for extreme evil. That's what they tell you, right? The division. They tell you you're killing to save what remains. And you get the fancy watch, and you get a computer that tells you how good you are at murder, and you just follow orders. So what they don't want you to think about, what they don't want you to think about is Directive 51. What does it actually order you to do? What's the wording? What law are you following? The world had to end for you to even get a mission, and you think you're on the right side of history. You want to know what I think about? Cui bono. Who benefits? Be seeing you.
Okay, already a lot to unpack from that, but first let's now look at that echo that you find immediately afterwards.
So, this is where you hit it, Agent. Right under everyone's noses. Smart. Real smart.
I don't know what you're talking about.
We both know you do. Directive 51. The original document signed in 2007 in a fancy office about 3 miles from here. I thought you'd have it stashed in some, NSA bubble room. But no. This is smart. Very smart. But you got wind of me, didn't you? You couldn't risk me getting hold of it, telling everyone about the small print, huh? So here you came. You let me right to it. Yes, you did.
Hey, I'm not here for any government documents, just a copy of the library archive. For the future.
Lie! Always thought you could trick me, huh? Always thought you were so smart.
Max. Max, is that...
Damn. I've known Shapiro a long time. I'll send a retrieval team once the area is safe.
So, whether Monica was being truthful with her intentions of being at the library or not, she's followed by this unknown figure who she names as Max. From the comm and echo, it's clear that he's after the original Directive 51 document, as he believes that it contains wording or information that the rest of the division might not be privy to, and so when Monica is unable to procure it and she thinks she recognizes him, he kills her. As I said, a lot to unpack. On the surface, this immediately reminds me of the who really are the good guys storylines that we've had before, the Isaac versus Anna debate, what truly makes a rogue. I eat that stuff up, so I guess I'm predisposed to liking this. But it does raise a very interesting question. What does Directive 51 say? Why is Max so set on finding it and assumedly releasing it to the world? I have no idea if this will end up being connected or not, but when I first played this mission, it immediately made me think to some interesting tidbits that were included with the Compromised and Hunted Division novels. Minor spoilers to follow if you've not read those, but this won't give away anything too major about their specific plot lines. Both of these books are set ahead of the current Division 2 timeline, even though we just looked at how the dates have been removed in-game from certain events and seasons. The last time they were updated, which was quite recently, put us around late October or early November, the year after the outbreak, whereas Compromise takes place in April of year 2, if you will. Hunted is another few months ahead in that summer. And so in both of these books, it makes mention to some fateful event where the Division no longer has the legal authority to do what they do. To be clear, agents were still operating in these stories, the Shade Network was still online, but there was more than one occasion where they would come across a civilian, a faction, or it was just stated in exposition that the Division organization no longer held operational authority. So when those details dropped, we always assumed that that was an event that we would see play out in a future season or DLC. So far that is yet to happen, who knows if it still will. But what if Max finding and releasing the information contained within Directive 51 somehow leads to that result? I don't know, just a theory. I'm also quite curious to find out who Max is and why he's involved in all this. Monica seemingly knows him, maybe not very well, but enough to recognize his voice. And if you look closely at the Echo, it does appear that he has a Shade Watch on. Does that mean that he is a Division agent, a rogue, a hunter, working for Calvin McManus? No clue. So that is about all that we know for the moment, but keep in mind that this is just the first in a new set of classified assignments coming our way. The devs did confirm that the overarching storyline here will carry across these new missions, and so I fully expect that we will continue to follow Max's trail, potentially even confront him at some point. The next mission, Capital Globe Anomaly, is set to drop on May 12th this season, so I'm really eager to play that and see what more we learn, because as I said, I think this is one of the more intriguing new narrative threads that we've gotten in quite some time. So that's all for me on this one, folks. I just wanted to hop on here and discuss the state of the Division 2's lore these days, both the good and the bad, but I would love to know your guys' take on everything. How do you view this current Rise Up season's narrative presentation? Do you agree with me that it's a bit more ambiguous than we're used to? Or maybe you think I'm missing something obvious and it's clear where we're going? And then on the flip side, if you have played the new classified assignment, or just after listening to the bits in this video, where do you see this new storyline going? Who is Max? What is written in Directive 51 that is so important? Let me know all of your thoughts on any of it. I'll be very curious to hear them. That's going to do it for me on this one though. Thank you all so much for coming by and watching, and until I see you next, RogueGold. Ow. Oh! We just got a Ravenous! Haha! I might not be friendly. Let's go.
Coming to the Division 2.
Let's go!
And